What if I told you that one car didn't just challenge the luxury world? It humiliated it, rewrote the rules, and exposed one of the biggest myths in automotive history. What if I told you that the industry's most powerful giants, companies with 100-year legacies, were blindsided by a company that wasn't even supposed to be in the conversation? This is the story of a machine so obsessively crafted, so impossibly refined, that even its own engineers questioned whether it could ever exist, until Toyota made it real. Today, we're diving deep into the legend of the Lexus LS400, the car that didn't quietly enter the luxury world. It walked in like a silent assassin, flipped the table, and burned the entire rulebook to ashes before anyone realized what was happening. Picture the automotive world in the early 1980s. Luxury wasn't defined by engineering or precision. It wasn't defined by longevity or craftsmanship. Luxury was defined by price tags, by badges, and by the illusion of status. Your choices were painfully predictable. Cheap cars worked, expensive cars broke. But those expensive cars came with shiny emblems that supposedly told the world you were sophisticated, or at least wealthy enough to put up with their flaws. In America, Cadillac and Lincoln dominated the roads with massive, floaty land yachts, cars that felt more like mobile sofas than machines of innovation. Giant chrome ships wrapped in velour, padded vinyl roofs, fake wood trim, and V8 engines so suffocated by emissions equipment they could barely outrun an economy hatchback. They were plush, yes. Comfortable, definitely. But precise? Reliable? Technologically forward-thinking? Absolutely not. They were relics coasting on nostalgia. Across the Atlantic, the Germans, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW sat confidently on their iron throne of prestige. They had decades of heritage behind them, and they believed that heritage alone was enough to guarantee loyalty. They built luxury cars using the cost-plus formula. Make the car you want, no matter the expense, then slap on a huge markup because, well, it's German. No one dared question them. Electrical gremlins? Eye-watering repair bills? Components that aged like fruit? Didn't matter. The badge justified the pain. People weren't buying a product, they were buying a reputation. But then something happened that no one could have predicted. The spark that would ultimately create the LS400 wasn't born from a dream or a design sketch. It came from politics, a trade agreement of all things. In 1981, the United States government tried to protect Detroit by limiting the number of cars Japan could export. Their mission was simple: stop millions of cheap, reliable Japanese cars from swallowing the American market. But they overlooked one crucial detail. The agreement restricted the number of cars, not the price. That single oversight changed automotive history forever. Toyota looked at this new reality and realized something electrifying. If they couldn't export millions of affordable cars anymore, then every single car they exported needed to be worth dramatically more. To survive, they had to climb, not gradually but explosively, into the world of luxury. A world ruled by companies that didn't want them there. A world dominated by brands with centuries of legacy. Ironically, a trade agreement meant to protect American luxury accidentally forced Japan to build the most devastating luxury competitor the world had ever seen. August 1983, Toyota's chairman, Eiji Toyota, summoned his brightest engineers to a secret meeting. These weren't marketing people, not business analysts. These were the masterminds responsible for Toyota's global reputation for reliability. He didn't ask for a slightly nicer Corolla. He didn't ask for a more refined Camry. Instead, he asked the question that froze the room. Can we build the best luxury car in the world? Not a good car, not a competitive car. The best. Toyota, the company known for practical, humble economy cars, had just declared war on Mercedes-Benz, the highest authority in luxury. The engineers were stunned. The technology required didn't exist. The luxury experience Toyota envisioned had no template. This wild idea was codenamed Project Circle F. And unlike normal car programs, this one had no budget limit, no timeline pressure, and no instructions to cut costs. This was not a car project. This was a military-scale operation. Toyota assigned nearly 4,000 employees to one mission: build the most perfect luxury sedan that had ever existed. While most manufacturers test a few dozen prototypes, Toyota built 450 full-scale cars and 900 engines. Whenever something wasn't flawless, they didn't tweak it, they destroyed it and rebuilt it. By the time the dust settled, the development cost had exploded past $1 billion. In 1980s money, that's unheard of. At the center of this storm was Chief Engineer Ichiro Suzuki, a man who refused to accept compromise in any form. He lived by a philosophy he called the source of source. If wind noise bothered him at 70 miles per hour, he didn't want more insulation. He wanted to eliminate the noise at the aerodynamic root. If vibrations existed, he didn't want to dampen them. He wanted them engineered out of existence. His wish list sounded outrageous. 155 miles per hour top speed, 22.5 miles per gallon fuel economy, quieter than a Rolls-Royce, lighter than the BMW 7 Series, and more aerodynamic than every rival, while still looking like a formal luxury sedan. Engineers told him it was impossible. Suzuki said, "Then invent what you need." Prototype vehicles were shipped to Germany, where engineers drove them flat out on the Autobahn for hours. If a mirror whistled at high speed, it was redesigned. If a vibration lasted half a second too long, back to the drawing board. Doors were slammed thousands of times to perfect the sound. Switches were tuned until they clicked with musical precision. Every detail mattered, and nowhere was that obsessive engineering clearer than in the engine. Toyota had almost no experience building a world-class luxury V8, so they started from a blank page. What they created became legendary. The 1UZ-FE, a 4.0-liter, 32-valve, all-aluminum V8 built like a racing engine hiding inside a business suit. 6-bolt main bearing caps for extreme stability. Forged steel crankshaft with 8 counterweights for perfect balance. High-silicon alloy pistons designed for microscopic tolerances. Forged connecting rods that looked more like jewelry than machine parts. This wasn't just engineering, this was mechanical artistry. And it was so reliable, so smooth, and so vibration-free that the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, certified it for aircraft use. A luxury car engine approved to fly. That's not reliability. That's immortality. Toyota showcased this perfection with a commercial that became automotive myth. A pyramid of champagne glasses stacked on the hood as the car ran at 145 miles per hour on a dynamometer. The glasses didn't move. Not because of CGI. Not because of camera tricks. But because Toyota engineered vibration out of existence, using liquid-filled engine mounts, a near-perfect driveshaft angle, and tolerances measured in fractions of human hair. Inside the cabin, the obsession continued. Buttons weren't simply designed, they were auditioned. Dozens of damping greases were tested until every switch felt like operating fine audio equipment. The wood wasn't the cheap veneer used by other brands. Lexus partnered with Yamaha's grand piano division, literally the artisans who build concert instruments, to carve, polish, and finish the trim. The result wasn't car wood. It was musical instrument wood. January 1989, Detroit. The LS400 was unveiled. The industry expected a well-built Japanese sedan. What they got was a silent nuclear detonation wrapped in conservative sheet metal. And then Toyota revealed the price, $35,000. A BMW 7 Series was $54,000. A Mercedes S-Class was over $61,000. The LS400 wasn't just cheaper, it was better in almost every measurable category. Faster, quieter, smoother, more efficient, more reliable, and exempt from gas-guzzler taxes. German executives were horrified. BMW accused Toyota of dumping cars below cost. Mercedes delayed the next S-Class so they could re-engineer it. The luxury world was in full-blown panic. Then came the recall. 2 minor issues surfaced in the first 8,000 LS400s. Most companies hide recalls. Not Toyota. Lexus personally called each owner. Technicians traveled to homes and office parking lots. They fixed the issue, washed the car, filled the tank, and returned it with an apology. Sometimes they rented garages in remote towns just to honor the promise. What could have been a disaster became a legendary demonstration of respect and responsibility. But the most extraordinary proof of Toyota's perfection came years later. A 1996 LS400 crossed 1 million miles. When engineers opened the engine, the original factory crosshatching, the microscopic grooves from machining, were still visible in the cylinders. After 1,000,000 miles, the engine had barely aged. That's not durability. That's Toyota rejecting the entire concept of planned obsolescence. The LS400 represents something we may never see again. A moment when engineers outranked accountants. When durability mattered more than shareholder profits. When materials were chosen for excellence, not cost savings. When luxury meant longevity, serenity, and craftsmanship. Not screen sizes, subscription services, and artificial sportiness. Today's luxury cars chase harsh suspensions, digital gimmicks, and planned lifespans. But the LS400 was built to outlive the people who bought it. In Japan, VIP culture still keeps these machines alive. Slammed, customized, polished, and respected, they glide through neon-lit streets like quiet ghosts from a time when perfection mattered. The industry has moved on. But the LS400 remains as a monument to what happens when a company decides that profit can wait, but excellence cannot. The Lexus LS400 wasn't just a car. It was a message. A reminder that perfection is possible when a company chooses craftsmanship over shortcuts, engineering over ego, and integrity over marketing. If you want more deep-dive stories about legendary engineering, forgotten masterpieces, and the machines that changed our world, stick around, hit subscribe, and join us for the next chapter of Lost Luxury. Your curiosity drives this channel, and trust me, the next story is even more unbelievable.